Hi everyone, and I am joined today by Brigitte Bojkowszky, and she is here to talk to us all about personal branding and the journey that bookkeepers need to go on to be able to get out of their own way in their mindset and get more visible and then help more people. Brigitte, it's so lovely to meet you and introduce you to our audience today. Do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, how you help people?
Yeah, so hello everyone, and thank you so much for being here today. It's such a pleasure to talk about personal branding as a bookkeeper, but also how that ties into your company brand because they are intrinsically um, related. So they kind of, they are systemic. One influences the other, and so I'm happy to talk about that today. Um, yeah, my name is Brigitte Bojkowszky, and my company is called BridgetBrands. So I'm branding, I'm supporting entrepreneurs, I'm supporting organizations to become future market leaders. And I help them by transforming their ambitions, passion, and their desires into a brand identity that radiates its beauty, its brilliance, and its authenticity so that they can attract their clients and also the recognition they deserve. That is my overall purpose.
Wow, what a purpose. That is fantastic. And you sound so passionate. And I love it when I speak to people that are like, they're not just doing a job, they're not just building a business, they're building a movement. And it's, I really resonate with that. There's a couple of words that you use there. And I know bookkeepers can sometimes feel a little bit overwhelmed with this whole kind of this new business language that they've learned, they've studied, they've qualified to understand the language behind accountancy and bookkeeping. And there's all of these words and things. And then we say to them, oh, that's great. You've got all of these qualifications, but now you need to learn the world of business. So there's two things you said there that I want to dive into and just explain so that the bookkeepers understand. What does it mean to be a market leader?
A market leader is someone who sets trends, who is strong, who sticks out from the crowd, or who is an expert in their field, and usually have a bigger market share than others. So market leaders are usually those who have so the first three who kind of consume most of the market share in the market, those are considered the leaders.
And that's really important, isn't it? Because I think when we're a service provider, we think, well, there's so many of us doing the same thing, so many of us doing that. So how do we stand out? And this is why we're always talking about how can you be different? How can you set yourself above? And, and I always like to think about like the bread aisle in a supermarket. It's absolutely how many different companies are there, but we all know like the few main ones or the people you think about when you think of bread. And it's just so how do we become that market leader?
Yeah, and market leader can have different levels of facets of meaning. It can also be you are the thought leader in that specific industry. You are focusing also on a specific niche. It doesn't need to be, what do we consider as your market? Yeah? So it can be only a specific niche that you're attracting, especially at the beginning. When you're starting with your business, you should rather focus. It's more on quality than quantity. You still can grow afterwards, but first you need to figure out what is my expertise? Where are my strengths? How can I stick out? How can I make a difference? How can I make myself distinctive? And then attract exactly that audience that feels attracted by that. So you need to kind of find your right audience based on who you are, what you can deliver and bring to the world. And here we should first focus. I know this is hard because we think, we need to serve everyone because we shouldn't leave out any opportunity. But this is is the false thinking. You rather should really focus, because then you can build up your expertise, but also your confidence, because you need to know and you get to know your customer very, very well. You need to know your customer from the inside out. Yeah, you need to really build those relationships to really understand what are their pain points, what are their needs, what are their desires. It's all about creating a relationship that lasts, usually in the bookkeeping business, long term, right? So you want to have a client over several years. And then you go from there. And when you're doing a good job, you're getting recommended anyway.
Yeah. And I love that you said that it's that we assume and we fear, the fear that comes up is that by niching that we are cutting off all these opportunities. But actually, it's like, if you're not speaking to somebody specific, you're speaking to nobody anyway. So speak to them specific, and other opportunities will come, and you can choose to say yes or no to those opportunities. I've definitely found that when I chose an industry, but I ended up working with lots of industries because people saw how I was talking to individuals, and then I want some of that too. And it didn't mean that I was saying no to them if they were a good fit. And I think that's the thing. I think traditionally, especially in service-based traditional accountancy firms, I mean, bookkeeping firms on their own is kind of a new thing. When I started in the industry over 20 years ago, there was only accountancy practices. There were no bookkeeping practices. There were bookkeeping individuals that were doing a service, but they weren't building businesses. They were building jobs for themselves. So we're having to learn how to find ourselves in the marketplace alongside accountants as well. And I think I can see how people would feel overwhelmed and scared. But there are so many different ways, like you said, like maybe it's your we know people that have got a village that they are the person of the village that does this service. Or it can be, of course, it could be an industry. For me, I chose to only work with people that were my Facebook friends because I wanted to have clients that were friends first, which was different. No one else was doing that at the time. But I think we get to pick and choose that. The other word is, oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Yes, because the village has grown now. It's on a different level because we are building a village, a community online. So we can appeal to many more customers than you were able in traditional ways before in your village, because you can serve them as you are a service-based business. You don't need to go there. You actually can do most of the things online, or pretty much online. So your reach is much, much bigger. You can reach out depending on what the qualifications are and your qualifications, how you are accredited within your space. You might even reach out across borders. Yeah. So there are actually no limits. No limits, village.
Absolutely. And that can feel I mean, I think we're just naturally bookkeepers. We have these limiting beliefs, and we will think, oh my goodness, either there's not enough clients, or oh my goodness, there's like the internet's too big, so I think we're just naturally a little bit risk averse and get a bit scared about things like this. It can feel like a big deal.
Exactly. So, and those limiting beliefs should be the first ones that need to be transformed into empowering beliefs. That's one of the first things that you need to do as an entrepreneur when you embark on your entrepreneurial journey. It's a shift in mindset. You're going out, you're coming from being an employee, and now suddenly you're the business owner. So there needs to be the shift towards a business owner's mindset. And limiting beliefs will not help you. They hold you back. They block you from going forward, especially, when you need to build your confidence as a business owner. You don't know where to start. This is one of the first things that you need to do, is shifting your mindset and getting that right, and getting it to becoming a foundation of a successful journey.
I don't think mindset, limiting beliefs and things are spoken about enough when it comes to becoming visible and creating that personal brand.
Yeah.
It's, it's, to be honest, it's about 80% of it, I think.
Exactly. So what I always say, it's branding starts with mindset. It all goes from there. Yeah? It's your mindset. It's understanding what is your vision, what's the legacy you want to leave behind, what is your mission, your purpose, how do you get there, your underlying values that you live and breathe, you're building your work upon, you're building your personal brand upon, you're building your company brand upon. This is important. And as important as that is this limiting beliefs and also the fear that we have. The fear, it's nothing so much to just push through. Yeah, because usually the fear is something that you're making up. It's not existing. How can you push through something that is not existing? So we need to integrate that. We need to work with it and make it our ally, make it our friend. Look at it. How can I use that fear to my advantage? And this is all about mindset. So you have to have the right mindset, and then build on that. You build your personal brand. And then on that, you build your company brand. This is all a process, and you cannot make shortcuts in branding, because you need to start with mindset first and then understanding who you are, because we want people to work with each other, not just the brand. So we want to humanize the brand. So here the human factor comes in. It's the people behind the brand, building relationships. It's so everything being equal, like all the services, qualifications. So it's what counts at the end of the day is that I can trust someone who has credibility, and I can trust and can work with over the years to come. So it's beyond just a transactional relationship.
So interesting you said that, because I was going to ask about the fact. So I remember starting out many years ago, and lots of people, I remember the process so clearly. I needed a name for my business. Back then we had the big yellow pages. So my idea was, I want to be at the front, so I'll pick something with an A. I wasn't thinking about the customer or the experience or my values or purpose or mission. I was like, I need to be at the front of the yellow pages. So I came up with Aqua Accounting, honestly. Anyway, and then I was thinking about, right, what's the logo? What's the colors? And it was nothing to do with me as a person. And I think a lot of times people think, I'm starting a business, I need a logo. That's the process that they go through.
Yes, it's a very narrow way of thinking when it comes to branding. Everyone is like all about, I need a logo, I need a name, a color set, a certain style language, design language. It's so much more. It starts with your mindset and with you as a personal brand, because you infuse meaning into a logo, you infuse meaning into the color, you infuse meaning into a tagline. It means something, and it can only really live if there is meaning behind, because your logo just expresses what the feeling is that you want to bring across, because a brand is about how you make others feel. So when you start with your logo, I bet that later on you have to rethink and start all over again with, okay, who am I and what is it actually what I want to bring across? What do I want to deliver as a feeling? And you do that, you manifest, you make it tangible through these so-called brand elements, such as logos, everything that is on your website or that makes your website. But you need to feed it with meaning. You infuse meaning into all of that. And this is what sets you apart from others. It's not just the logo. The logo is there, it's nice, but what meaning do you attach to that? So the meaning, that is the beauty and the brilliance and the authenticity when you add on. It's like A canvas is a canvas, but you need to give flesh to the bone. And branding is giving flesh to the bone. And then marketing is just the delivering of that message.
Oh, it's the flesh on the bone. It's not the bone. It's not that's that's you inside. And I think so. What I'm hearing is that traditionally, when somebody has this entrepreneurial myth and they think, I'm going to set up on my own, I'm going to do it for myself, I'm making too much money for my boss, I'm going to do this. We go out and we try and do something, but we haven't learned all this. So we kind of start with the end. And then we wonder why we're not attracting clients. We wonder why this is really hard work. Actually, a job was easier. At least I got paid. So unpicking it, we're realizing we're starting with the wrong. So if somebody's listening now and they're thinking, maybe they've got a logo and they're like, oh, I'm not, because I tell you what, when it's not in alignment, when your brand, when your logo, everything's not in alignment, it's really hard to sell and market yourself.
Yeah. You are confusing your audience, whoever that is, because you're confused too. Yeah. So we need to take that out of the equation. And you said we start with the end in mind. Yes, we do, but differently. Your end in mind is your vision and your mission. What do you want to have achieved at the end of the day? Your overall vision in your life or your professional. So what do you want to help them with actually at the end of the day? It's not just about the financial numbers, of course, yeah, but there is so much more. It's having happy clients. They love to come to you about that, yeah. You give them a more relaxed life because they trust in you. You're going to do that in the best possible way. Because you are the expert. So it's all about trust. So here the authority that they are capable of, but also the authenticity that is coming from your person as a personal brand. You're putting that together with the company brand that delivers the authority as well. So both together make that. So the end in mind is something that is not tangible. Yeah? But then you start from the beginning with mindset, and along the way, and this can be a shorter one. I do my coaching within a 3 months time frame. Then only when you've built your personal brand, you start with your company brand or business brand identity. Then you finalize the logo, the colors, and then we know, because colors mean something, and your font style, your typography, and the slogan, because you need to know what is your vision. You need to know your values, because your values become part of the brand. It might be in your vision statement. It might be in your mission statement. It might be part of your tagline. So you need to know that. And also values can change over time. So you're doing a situation analysis right now. And then you also think about, because I said we start with the end in mind, your vision, your future, how you want to grow. So is that also something that can be adaptable over time? You need to also think big at the beginning, even though you start with a niche. Is this something that is transferable? Yeah, across platforms, across target audiences, and also over time when you evolve, because a personal brand is nothing static. You're not deciding something now for the rest of your life, because you're evolving. You as a person, you're evolving over time. So your company is evolving. That's why there's an interrelatedness. That's why I said, they both kind of are kind of should be in sync, and one feeds the other, one communicates to the other. So with me as a company evolving, I build on a client base. I add on maybe more services. Also, I as a personal brand is changing, because I'm taking on I'm more confident. You're becoming a different person. You're kind of morphing more into an identity that you want to become. So it's always about becoming. You're in the process. The beauty is the journey itself, even though you have a goal. So now, where was I? I'm talking. You're
so passionate. It's so lovely. I love this whole. Oh my goodness! My brain is going over thinking about how we're not here talking. You haven't mentioned once really about the services that we're providing or the transactions that we're, you pay me this and I do that. It's all about the feeling, and it's about the journey, and it's about how the client will feel at the end of working with you. It's interesting. I went onto a website the other day, and I've not had this feeling before, and they'd got it down perfectly. I picked up some, like angel oracle cards. It was very woo. I picked up and I was like, oh, the words are so beautiful. I'm very, I like a spreadsheet, and I'm very, but I was just really drawn to looking at this. And then I thought, oh, I'll check out the website. And the website was exactly how that had made me feel. And I was like, wow, this is like, I've never seen a magical website. I was like, oh, it's so pretty. It's so, and I didn't know I have no idea what was selling. It just made me feel amazing. And I was like, what? That is so powerful. That is so powerful that I've been taken on that journey. But there was a personal brand behind it. And the lady that was behind it, it was so funny. She popped up on my Facebook as well. And I was like, when you link the individual behind that, it really is like, it's like you said, the credibility, and you feel like safe to be able to trust your instincts to go with the nice feelings. And this is what we need. It's not about just a logo on its own cannot create that emotion in you. And when you think about, I remember reading about all of the followers that these massive premier football clubs have, the followers that they have. But you can add all of the Premiership clubs, all of their following together, and it won't be as much as like the main footballer.
Exactly.
The individual gets so many more, because people want to connect. You can't connect with a business or a company in the same way you can connect with an individual. People want to see that person and know them, and you can have the feeling, but you need to go there first. So what I'm understanding from you is that personal brand is more what needs to be the starting point, and then the company brand.
Yeah, exactly. Because you need to deliver anyway. I mean, if you're not delivering, if you're not an expert in what you're doing, then this might be the wrong job or the wrong business that you want to build, right? But that is the minimum, the point of parity. That has to be the minimum. We call it point of parity, point of differentiation in branding. Yeah. So based on the minimum. So you want to play in that category, so you have to deliver what you are saying that you can do. And then based on that, there is the differentiation factor. And that usually is the blend of your character, of how you do things. It's the feeling that you bring across. That's it. I mean, that's it. It's easy said. But actually it is. And the more authentic you are, the less work it is, because you're not just playing a role like very in a stressful way. I have to do da. If you're authentic, if you're living your true self, and then let this out and let this shine, then everything comes automatically. But we are so consumed with all these factors, these external factors. I have to look like that. I have to be perceived like that. But what do you want? Because you connect with people on an emotional level. They connect with the real you, not with a facade.
Yeah.
There's so many facades out there. We don't need one more of the same. Yeah, let's go.
My goodness.
Human.
Yeah, like I used to hear about 10 years ago, the terminology fake it till you make it. Oh my goodness, it's awful. So, and what I think what people don't realize is when somebody's newly qualified and newly starting out in business, they're watching people that have been on their journey for 10, 20 years and feeling inferior and feeling that, well, I'm not where they're at. But what I try and say is, like, document your journey to your exams and what you're doing, and you're trying, because the person that's sitting there with a tax return that has never got on with maths at school and is scared stiff, and you are 20 steps ahead of them and where they are, and the fact that you aren't 20 years down in your journey may really appeal to them, because they don't want somebody that's going to talk. I say this all the time. I've got to remember to go back and talk in the language that I'd have talked about in my first couple of years of business, because that's when I made really true and great connections, because I actually wasn't that. I think it's a superpower being at the beginning of your journey, because you understand their journey so much more.
Exactly. And I think this is what you're mentioning is really an important factor, because nowadays everything is changing very, very quickly. So in earlier days, if there was someone 20 years more ahead, it did not matter that much because things were not changing that much. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, you want to have someone around you can see yourself in. And this person also can resonate with you. They feel with you where you are at the moment. When you're 20 years ahead, I mean, they are very much detached already from that time of being. You think back, I know, I remember, yeah, but being a few steps ahead in the time where we have certain, let's say, macroeconomical situations where consumer behavior is in a certain way, certain trends are prevailing, we know it. Yeah, we have gone through that exactly like that. And we can give them a guiding hand. Hey, listen, that was my failure. I went through this and that. I want you to avoid that because, and you can explain it. And you come from a place of love and you come from a place you feel with that person. And this is so important. And also here, and this is one of the most important elements when it comes to a brand and visualizing a brand online and infusing meaning is the storytelling. Because with the storytelling, people understand. I remember I also was 23 years, I still do, a professor at the university all around the world. I teach at different universities. But what I remember is that students remember your stories and they put them into the exam when they have to give an example, because that's what they remember. And your customer remembers also because they feel you. They can associate with that. Yeah? There's a lot of associations attached that makes a brand strong. So a strong brand image lives from something that they like, strong associations, like in different situations they think of you. Yeah? And then your uniqueness. And that stories are usually unique, and that sets you apart.
Oh, so important. So important to be telling your stories, your true self, because that will make someone really connect with you and think, oh my goodness, they're just like me. They've experienced, and I have. Yeah. The more I've spoke about the bad things that I've done wrong, that I've failed, where I've burnt out, where I've made mistakes, the more I talk about the thing, I've become more successful because people resonate with me. Whereas when you're trying to be, I'm perfect and I do everything right, and people don't resonate with that because everyone's making mistakes along the way. So those stories are so powerful.
And not only stories about yourself, but also it can be stories in form of case studies of your clients. Yeah. So, once I had a client, you make it anonymous. And so they resonate. Oh my God, I'm in the same situation. So, okay. So I want you as my bookkeeper. So how can we go forward? Yeah. You're not even asking about other things, but that's how you connect. So storytelling humanizes the brand as well. It's creating this emotional resonance that goes beyond this transactional relationships that bookkeepers usually have, because it's based on the numbers. We are in the finance world, but we want to make it more relatable. And that's where the person comes in. That's where you come in with your unique character, and that blends with your capabilities. You make it yours, and people will be there.
It's so interesting. I was just thinking about an analogy around, the doctor, maybe the consultant that comes and sees you when you're poorly in bed, and they tell you exactly what you need to do, but they, maybe you don't connect with them, but then you'll have a nurse come, hold your hand and explain what that was meaning. And who would you want to look after you? You'd want this person that you've made the connection with. And this is something that me and Zoe have recognized in Bookkeepers and we've often said about the doctor-nurse analogy, is actually the nurses have the knowledge, they have the experience, they're able to interpret what's being said by the real technical side of things and what it actually means for you. And they're there day to day, holding you accountable to getting better and healthier. And I definitely feel that that's what us bookkeepers do. And we are not there for, like, we don't focus just on this is the prescription of what you need to do. This is like, right, how can we be 1% better today? How can we help you move that needle and hold you accountable, hold your hand, and make it a nicer journey? And people, oh my goodness, people are craving that kind of, that connection and that the fact that somebody cares for them. I think as business owners, it can feel like a really lonely place to be. And bookkeepers have an amazing amount of opportunity to make connections.
Exactly. So here we come to the buzzword community. So as you said, we very often feel alone as a bookkeeper, but there are many other bookkeepers out there. And you should actually try to contribute to a community. Being part of a community makes the journey so much more sweeter. And you're not alone, and you are learning, you're getting the feedback, you are lifting each other. And you will see that being in a community, that doesn't mean to take away from someone else's business, because they have their client, they're very unique. So you couldn't even serve them because you would not relate to them in the same way. There is enough for everyone. So being part of a community is really, really a strong factor that influences how successful you are. And at the beginning, it's a roller coaster. It's tough. There's a lot of learning from the detours, from the roadblocks, and a lot of smart people are just giving up because they don't have this support that we need. And I think this is something that you're giving, right? So what you see is here the most important takeaways for them. Why are they part of your community, Jill? Now, I'm asking you now.
I set this up because of exactly that. I was lonely and I kept making mistakes, and I didn't set it up. And me and Zoe, we do laugh about the fact that we've become leaders, but accidentally, because I set this up feeling the same as everybody else. I needed that. I was like, there isn't one, so I need to create it for myself. And then because I created it, I became the leader, but accident. And I often always say, I'm here. I learn so much more from the community than I give in value. And we just see ourselves as facilitators of conversations. That's how we've done that. And if bookkeepers were able to do that for their own clients, the power. I set up in COVID, I set up a client support community and in Facebook, because I wanted to get out messages. I knew that as soon as Boris had stood and said something on the podium, that I'd have loads of messages. So I thought, okay, how do I speak one to many and make them feel? And then they started oh, you're here as well. Oh, I know you. Or, oh, you're in the same industry as me. And then they started to, it's so powerful. I mean, we're talking now, and our community's got nearly 19,000 bookkeepers and accountants, and they all needed a place to hang out. But I think, again, the mindset shift of creating a community, again, makes us feel like we are when we're creating a business, creating a logo. It's all about the mindset, because we believe, who are we to step that one step out in front of everybody else?
But who are we not doing that? Because then we're doing a disservice to others. Who are we not doing that? We would take away from something. Just turn it around. And when we talk about introverts, it doesn't need to be like a community of, I don't know, where thousands of people are. Start small, in a small community where you feel safe, and building up this confidence over time. It's the baby steps that make it, but do one step, take action. And then you see you're not alone. Others have the same problems. And there are many other ways of how to grow. You can also have, let's say, a mentor. Take a mentor or have a growth mindset coach that helps you getting over that. If you rather prefer a one-on-one session, for example, this would be another way of growing. But yes, you also, as an entrepreneur, you never stop learning. It's a continuous learning process. So you are committing to something that is ongoing and will never stop.
Oh,
you will
so
never
true. You're never done. Yeah, absolutely. You are never, ever done. And I think that, again, is something that we need to learn. And as a mindset shift, that you're never going to arrive at the destination and be done. You're, even Richard Branson, he's in his 70s. He's not finished. He's not done. And you may choose if you align with the values, and I hate this whole idea of work-life balance. I think it's just life. I think if we align with it so well, it feels like you're not really working.
No, because it's your determination. It's your life. I think work is a word if you're doing it with passion. So for example, when I say, okay, because tomorrow we have a holiday here in Austria, yeah? And then tomorrow I have a client, what, you're working? I said, I love my work. It's my passion. It's part of, I take energy from that. It makes me happy. Sometimes even after such a client session, I have tears in my eyes because I really see how impactful that was. And it's also impacting me and makes me happy. So we should have a different focus on work-life balance. It's an integration of both, especially for business owners. And I think you need to set certain boundaries, but these are your boundaries, not only to kind of have certain energy affecting you, but also for you to say, okay, this is someone I want to work with, yes or no, if it doesn't feel good. Because it's also about self-care. And if you're doing something, and if you're also allowing yourself to say no, if you feel that, then you're making room for something that needs you. So there's a lot of philosophy behind that. And then you said something also when it comes to journey. It's a journey, right? So, and it's not the ultimate goal that counts, it's the journey. So please also celebrate your small achievements. They're also win. We need to be proud of our own story, not comparing ourselves with others all the time, because they're on different stages. They have a different pace. You're not there where the $1 million, $2 million revenue person is. Maybe they have done it for 20 years. Yeah. So celebrate your own one. How far have you come in the last year? And maybe journal about it. Do a success journal. Write it down. Be proud of yourself and be grateful for yourself having done that, having achieved that. So it's kind of then becomes part of the foundation, part of where you feel comfortable. And then you do the next step into the unknown.
Oh my goodness, I am loving this. A success journal. Actually, and you're so right, because a lot of people are on their step 1, comparing themselves on someone else's step 20, 50, and the comparisonitis is just awful. So we have to protect with all of our might, our energy, our focus, and make sure that we aren't doing that. And if we notice ourselves doing that, I love what you said about our energy, and focusing and doing things that light us up and fill up the cup rather than deplete. And that was the thing I did about picking. So, and it doesn't always work with working with Facebook friends. People that think of me, that are repelled by me, are not going to add me as a friend on Facebook. So it was kind of, I want to protect. So somebody that's drawn to me and if they've added me as a friend, there's something that they want to connect. So that's a good starting point, because in the past, I used to think that I was saying yes to the money, yes to the client, And I completely disregarded how anyone made me feel.
Yes, that's the point, because you feel like, okay, now I have to do this. And you're beating yourself up because you have done this again, just because of the money. Yes, very often we are in a very, unfortunate situation, especially when we start out. We don't have that. You live from your savings. I was all there. As a former professor, and you're not getting paid much at all. I mean, you are really like in the trenches. But you need, and this is most important, believe in yourself. Even though when you have to say no, it's hard. I know, because you're missing this amount of money, but you're opening up for something else. And that's why it is so important to always have this vision and your values, how to get there, because it makes you more intentional in decision making. Does this help me to get there? Yes or no? Yes, go for it. No, disregard it. There's something else waiting for me. And let's take action.
Oh my goodness. So that's so helpful. Right. So knowing what our values, our vision and mission are, my biggest value is family. And it really helps me to make quick decisions. I also get decision fatigue. Like if I have to make too many decisions I've noticed that drains me. So by having something very quick that we can go yes or no really helps us make decisions. I know all of this feels like, I think when we get started, we feel like, well, that's a luxury you have. I don't have that luxury because I want to make money, but it's not. We all get to choose.
Yeah. And you know what? That's your ethos. It's the highest value. This is non-negotiable. And period. So when you're overwhelmed with decision making, ground yourself. In a few seconds, you can do that. Is this part of where I want to go? Does this fulfill the requirements of my value set? Have 5 values. Yeah. It's already very difficult to prune down everything that you value and pack it into 5 core values. Actually, you should say 3, but this becomes then very, very difficult already. Yeah. But bring it down to 5 values. And then it's so much easier making this decision. You are taking overwhelm out of it, because we are living in a time where everything is about you're overwhelmed by political, geopolitical situations, by, that goes then into your industry as well. People are saving money, and so you're exposed to all of that. But you can make life so much easier if you know who you are, if you know where you want to go and how you want to serve your clients.
Oh my goodness, it's magical. I love the idea of the helping with the decision fatigue, just sitting with the thing, actually I think this is a bit about self-love, giving yourself the permission to be able to choose things that feel and energize you and feel good and are going to work towards your values and yours. For years, I think I'm a big sister of 5. So I've always felt that responsibility to make decisions for other people. And I've always gone at things. So I would answer, should I attend that meeting or do that? Who is it serving? And I've always been serving others, my clients, everybody else. They always come first. And I think being a parent, you get, conditioned to think of everybody else before yourself as well. So actually thinking, when I am energized, when I am feeling good, when I don't feel like I'm working a day in my life, I feel my cup is overflow. I like to think of an overflowing cup. Have I got extra to give, or is it depleted and I need to fill things up for myself? And sometimes it means, and the beauty of being self-employed and working for ourselves is that we do get to choose. But if we don't choose, someone else will choose for us. And we need to change that.
Yeah, because we can take control. And what you're saying is really so important, because it's always about the others first. And there's this analogy. Me, as a former flight attendant, it was about you come first, because in an emergency, if all the others are first, then we all die. because you need the mask first in a so-called rapid decompression. You need to have your mask on. You have to be clear in your mind, and then you can help everyone else around you. But if you're not doing that, it's not self-centered in that sense, in a critical sense. It's about self-care as well. And when you're good, as you say, this has a ripple effect. It's systemic. It affects all the others. You are a better mom. You are playing your role much better, on much higher standards, in a different style than when you're exhausted, overwhelmed. It has an effect. And this ripple goes, it's a multiplier.
And aren't we all attracted to people that look after themselves first? Aren't we, like, we want to be in those people's energy because they filled themselves up? So we need to think about this when we're approaching this can be part of our personal brand. Who wants the bookkeeper that puts everyone else first? And then where are you going to be? You're going to be depleted. You're not going to get that person's energy because they've given it to everybody else before even you as a client. It's an attractive quality, isn't it?
Yeah, because you are in control. You own it, and you step into your power, and that's attractive. It doesn't have anything to do with conceitedness, with I'm better than someone else. No, you come from a place of gratitude and exerting that power from that place of love. Then everything will be fine, because you're attracting, with your power, you're attracting the people. They feel they trust in you. They feel everything is fine. So here we again with the feeling. This is part of a personal brand, and that power goes into your company as well. And if you have employees, that has also a ripple effect on your employees. So it's all about the personal brands within the company that make a company strong. It's the company culture that you live and breathe within. It has also an influence on the clients that you serve and on all of the other stakeholders that you are directly or indirectly interacting with. So it's a whole concept. It's really about that.
I love this. This is so magical and so woo, and I love it. It's filling me up because this doesn't feel like work. Actually, me and you having this conversation, this is meant to be our job. Does it feel like work? No, it just feels like fun. And I've noticed that the more fun I have, the more I am my true self, even my childlike self, and like exploring, just being, what would it like? Play with it. Play with it. What if you were truly your true self? What would come out in your personal brand? What would you talk about, like, publicly? If you were like, I love hearing about people's real true passions and then how they bring it into their business. They make impact. They have true impact. And that's when you start thinking about leaving a legacy rather than just paying your mortgage on a monthly basis.
Yeah, exactly. Who tells us work is hard? It doesn't have to be hard. It's a limiting belief. Work is fun. I love to work. Put yourself in front of the mirror and tell yourself, I love work. Work is easy.
What if you created a business? What would it look like if you had a business that was fun, that energized you every day? Who would those clients be that you're working with? What would that exchange of services need to be for that to be? What would be the value that you're giving? How would your clients feel after they've worked with you? Like, play with this idea, because you can create it. We are all creators.
Yes, that's why a vision is so important. It's not just a sentence. You feel into that. You're visualizing. You can do a meditation, but you can also daydream. Just close your eyes, have nice music, and see how you work with your people and their smiles and your clients. And I understand, you feel the situation when you're doing that. When you make it more dynamic and not static, then you're manifesting it. Have a vision board, but vision boards are not enough. Make it a living thing. When you have yourself, working at the laptop and you're looking down the ocean on your patio, and then not just seeing that, but feeling, listen to the waves, listen to the noise. The birds are flying. You're feeling where you're sitting. It's very comfortable. It's the way of how you type, what you're typing. Is it cold? Is it warm? What feeling comes up? And have that every day. I mean, nobody can tell me you don't have 20 minutes to visualize something. So let something else go. Maybe worry about something, because it's something you're making up anyway very often.
I think people, I often say to bookkeepers, because this is kind of a new thing for them, to just allow themselves to have this, because it's so transactional and so qualification based and so details and all of this. This isn't the energy. What people want, what our clients would love, is someone to sit and listen to them, sit and understand and say, it's okay, let's make a plan together. Maybe you don't have all the answers. I definitely don't have all the answers when I speak to my clients, but do I have the willingness to listen, to provide them with some space, to come up with a plan of action? You go away and do this, I'll go away and do that. Let's come back together. No one's today, have we mentioned anything to do with VAT, payroll, bank reconciliations? All of that stuff is, like you said, that will get done.
Exactly.
But the value added is beyond. And that's what, and bookkeepers may have dreamt of winning the lottery. And I want you to use that analogy and think about, like, if you won that lottery, you can daydream like that. Oh, if that was to happen. But imagine doing the same thing of, what if I created the business, the perfect business that was in alignment with me, for my family, for my friends, everything. It worked, and my health was to be, the best it could be. What kind of business would I create? That's exactly what we're doing. It's just having fun.
Exactly. And I want to say something to, you mentioned value added. Yeah, because that has to be done. And then there's the value. The value added is also the premium that the customer is willing to pay in addition to the normal services, because they feel like this is the intangible part that creates your brand equity. It's the strength of the company. Yeah? And that's why someone wants to work with you, and that's the added value.
And that would attract not only clients, but it'll attract team members, and they will want to live in your values, so that therefore you don't have to be the one to deliver everything in the future. I think this is really something CEO thinking is about, creating a business and not a job. And so that, how could you, like, your values be so attractive that people want to then do that for people themselves, and that's your team members. But you have to know that for yourself before you can create this kind of movement and this legacy, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Brigitte, I have absolutely thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. And I think it's been the most energizing conversation I've had around personal branding for a very, very long time. And I think we have helped people to understand that it's very much not just a logo. How can people connect with you and find out more about how you can help?
Yeah, so my website is BridgetBrands.com, and they can reach me via my website, but also on LinkedIn. It's my preferred social media platform. I'm always there. I'm providing lots of content. I run Embody Your Brand challenges, like quarterly. I have a one-on-one 3 months program personalized to you. And I'm also happy to connect with anyone on LinkedIn. I'm also on Facebook, but more so on LinkedIn. Send me a message and then we can hop on a call. And that's how we build a relationship. And there's something else I wanted to say. I kind of forgot about it. It's when you are in your element, when you are your true self, then it's not about selling anymore, because the way of how you act, the way of how you communicate, the way of how you build relationships is the selling itself. You draw people to you because they believe in you, they feel comfortable with you, and they understand this this value add that is coming along. It's the human behind that brand, because it's to them.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for your time today. And we'll see you next time on the Bookkeepers Podcast. Take care.
Thank you.